All right, let's talk about cancer treatment. We've got some amazing tools in our arsenal: chemotherapy, radiation, you name it. But what happens when they just don't work? Today, we're going to dig into why that happens and how something as simple as breathing under pressure might just be the key to unlocking their real power. It's the big question, right? It turns out many tumors have this kind of hidden defense system, a shield that makes them incredibly resistant to even our best attacks. So we're going to break down what that shield is and how scientists are using a surprisingly basic element to tear it down: good old oxygen. So to really get the solution, you've got to understand the problem. And the problem here isn't just the cancer cell itself. It's the whole environment it builds deep inside a tumor. I want you to picture a city that's growing so incredibly fast it can't build roads or power lines quickly enough to keep up. That is exactly what a tumor does. The cancer cells are multiplying so fast that the body just can't build new blood vessels to feed them. The results? The core of the tumor becomes starved of oxygen, and this condition has a name: hypoxia. Now, this low oxygen environment isn't just some random side effect. It's the tumor's best line of defense. It's like an invisible shield that makes cancer cells resistant to chemotherapy, it weakens the punch of radiotherapy, and it even puts our own immune cells to sleep, telling them to stand down. Hypoxia is literally helping the cancer survive and spread. So, if a lack of oxygen is the problem, how do you break through that shield? Well, the answer is kind of beautiful in its simplicity. You flood it with more oxygen, a lot more. We're not just talking about putting on an oxygen mask here. This is hyperbaric oxygen therapy, or HBOT for short. You're actually inside a special chamber that's pressurized and you breathe pure 100% oxygen. It's that combo, the high pressure and the pure O2. That's the magic trick. It physically forces massive amounts of oxygen into the body's tissues in a way that just breathing normally never could. So how does that even work? Well, think about it. Under normal conditions, the hemoglobin in your red blood cells is already basically full. It's about 97% saturated. There's not much more room at the end. But HBOT does something completely different. It uses pressure to dissolve a huge amount of extra oxygen directly into the blood plasma itself. It's kind of like how they make soda, forcing the carbonation into the liquid. This means oxygen can now get to places where even tiny red blood cells can't squeeze through. And the result is just incredible. By supersaturating the blood like this, HBOT can drench those oxygen-starved parts of a tumor with up to 20 times more oxygen than they'd normally get. That is how you start to break down that hypoxic barrier. Okay, now here's a really important thing to understand. HBOT is almost never used by itself to fight cancer. Its real power comes from being a partner, an adjunctive therapy that makes the treatments we already have work so much better. Let's start with chemo. You might be wondering, how does flooding a tumor with oxygen help a poison that's designed to kill cancer cells? Well, a hypoxic tumor builds a fortress around itself, a dense wall of tough material called collagen. A lot of the time, chemo drugs just can't get through this wall. HBOT comes in like a battering ram. That big influx of oxygen helps to weaken and break down that fortress, opening up pathways for the chemotherapy to finally pour in and get to the cells it needs to kill. It's a pretty similar story with radiotherapy, but the science here, well, it's even more direct and honestly kind of cool. See, radiation's main weapon isn't the beam itself. It's what the beam creates inside the cancer cells, these super destructive, unstable molecules called free radicals. But, and this is the key part, for those free radicals to do the most damage to the cancer's DNA, they need oxygen. Oxygen basically locks that damage in place, making it permanent. Without enough oxygen, the cancer cell can actually repair itself. So HBOT provides all that extra oxygen, essentially supercharging every single dose of radiation. And it doesn't stop there. It even has a role to play with our most modern, cutting-edge treatments, immunotherapies, the ones that use our own immune system to fight back. You could almost say that hypoxia is like a lullaby for our immune cells. It tells our T cells, our body's soldiers, to just ignore the tumor. HBOT is the alarm clock. By bringing oxygen levels back up, it wakes those T cells up, allowing them to finally see the tumor for what it is, a threat, and attack it again. This makes powerful immunotherapy drugs way more effective because they need an active immune system to work with. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? A total game changer. And it is incredibly promising. But it is not a magic bullet. And as with any powerful medical treatment, we absolutely have to do a reality check and talk about the risks. This is still very much an evolving science. Researchers are working hard to figure out the perfect recipe for every type of cancer, the right pressure, the right timing, and of course, there are potential side effects. That's why we really need more of those big, large-scale human trials to truly nail down its role in cancer care. And this point is absolutely critical. HBOT is powerful, yes, but when you combine it with certain chemotherapy drugs, it can be really dangerous. It can actually increase the toxicity to vital organs like your lungs or your heart. This is exactly why this therapy must only be done under strict, expert medical supervision. This is not a DIY situation. So, keeping those really important cautions in mind, what's next? What does the future hold for this kind of therapy? Where is all the research headed? The future of this therapy is all about one word: precision. Forget one size fits all. Imagine using advanced scans to create a 3D map of a tumor's specific oxygen levels. Doctors could then design a custom HBOT protocol to reoxygenate just the most stubborn, resistant areas, all while watching in real time to see if it's working. That's the horizon. And really, this quote from the researchers sums up the whole vision perfectly. It's about integrating HBOT into multimodal oncologic regimens to overcome hypoxia-associated resistance and improve patient outcomes. It's not about replacing our current treatments, but about making our best therapies even better by hitting one of their biggest weaknesses head-on. So it leaves us with this incredible question. Could we really get to a point where tweaking the oxygen levels inside a tumor becomes a standard part of cancer care? It's a powerful idea, and one that researchers are working hard on, and it could totally reshape how we fight this disease in the years to come.